This is the story of Rahab and the spies. When the Israelites came to the edge of the land God had promised them, Joshua called 2 men and gave them instructions to scout out the land before them, especially the city of Jericho. Jericho was a strong city with 2 thick walls surrounding it. The Israelites knew they would need God's help to conquer it. So the men went to the city of Jericho at night and tried their best to get inside without being seen. The Bible doesn't say how they did it, but they might have snuck in while the guards at the gate were asleep. Once they were inside the city, they found the house of a woman named Rahab and asked if they could stay there. Her house was built right into the wall of the city. She agreed to let them stay and hide them from the king. But someone must have seen the men enter Rahab's house, because the king of Jericho was told that 2 spies from the Israelites had come to their city. The king was very angry. He sent soldiers to Rahab's house. The soldiers demanded that she hand over the men who had come to her house. They told her the men were spies sent to search out the city and the country around it, so that the Israelites could attack. Rahab had hidden the men under piles of hay on her roof, so the soldiers didn't find them. She told the soldiers, "Yes, 2 men came to my house, but I did not know where they were from. They came when it was dark and the gate of the city was being shut, but they have already left and I don't know which way they went. If you hurry and chase after them, you might be able to catch them." So the soldiers chased after the men along the road to the Jordan, and as soon as they had left, the gates to the city were shut tight. After the soldiers had left, she went up to her roof to tell the men it was safe to come out. She said to them, "I know the Lord has given you this land and the city. Everyone here is afraid of you. We heard how the Lord brought you out of Egypt and parted the Red Sea before you, and how you destroyed the 2 kings of the Amorites on the other side of the Jordan. When we heard all these things, our hearts melted, and all our courage left us, because we know that the Lord your God is God of heaven and earth. Now I beg you, because I have shown kindness to you, promise me in the name of your God that you will show kindness to me and my family when you come to destroy the city." So the men made a promise in the name of the Lord that she and her family would be safe when the Israelites came to destroy the city. Rahab found a scarlet rope and placed it in her window so the men could climb down outside the city walls. The men said, "Leave this scarlet cord in your window as a sign to us that when we come to attack the city, we will know that you have kept your promise. As long as the scarlet cord is in your window, everyone in your house will be safe." After they left the city, the men hid in the mountains for 3 days until the soldiers searching for them had returned to Jericho. Then the men went back to Joshua to report all they had seen and heard. They told him that they were sure the Lord had given the land into their hands because the people of the land were afraid of the Israelites and the power of their God. Joshua and the people followed God's instructions to prepare themselves to enter the promised land. After many days, they took the Ark of the Covenant and all their possessions and marched across the Jordan River to camp near Jericho. As he had done with the Red Sea, God stopped the waters of the Jordan so they could cross on dry land. God gave them specific instructions for what to do when they came to Jericho. He told them to march around the city once a day for 6 days, and on the 7th day to march around the city 7 times. He told them to put the soldiers in front, followed by 7 priests with trumpets made from ram's horns. The priests were to blow the horns continually as they marched. After the priests came the Ark of the Covenant and the rear guard. The people did as God commanded. They marched around the city once a day for 6 days. The soldiers were in front, 7 priests with trumpets followed them, blowing their horns continually. Then came the Ark of the Covenant, and after it the rear guard. I'm sure the people inside the walls of Jericho were very scared. They knew something was going to happen, but it had to be strange to them that the Israelites weren't attacking the city, just marching around it, making a lot of noise. On the 7th day, the Israelites marched around the city just as they had every other day, but they did it 7 times in a row. The 7th time Joshua told them, "Shout, for the Lord has given you this city." All the people shouted as loud as they could. and the priests blew their trumpets even louder. The noise was deafening. The ground began to shake. The great walls of Jericho crumbled into a heap of rubble, and the Israelites captured the city. But as the spies had promised, the house with the red cord hanging from its window was safe and still standing. Rahab and her family were saved because she had helped God's people. And that's my favorite Bible story. I would say everyone lived happily ever after, but the truth is, God's people were happy, but some others not so much.